So you're just going to need a myofascial release ball or a tennis ball or a rolled up pair of socks for this class. And we're going to start in a seated position, and you can start seated on the floor, sitting on the floor in a cross-legged position or with your legs out extended. So you just want to be comfortable as possible with your pelvis neutral or in its centre. Or you can sit up on a chair if that's more comfortable for you. So a chair works quite well for this as well. And if you suffer with a hypertonic pelvic floor or pelvic pain due to tension, then you might just want to start off with a rolled up pair of socks for this exercise. So you're going to, first of all, let's just locate the bony landmarks of the pelvis. So we are sitting up on the sit bones, so you can just give you can wiggle around a bit on the sit bones, remove the flesh from the sit bones so that you can really feel those sit bones rooting down into the floor. So that's the base of the pelvis. And then we're coming round to the front, so coming round to the pubic bone at the front. So you can just use your fingers to just sense into the pubic bone. And then we've got the sacrum at the back, and then walking down from the sacrum, we've got the tailbone, so the coccyx. So we've got those 4 bony landmarks, and in between that, we've got the pelvic floor muscles. So we've got a triangle at the front, from sit bones to pubic bone, and triangle at the back going the other way from sit bones to tailbone. So that then forms a diamond. And what we're going to do is just do some nice release work on the pelvic floor muscles on that diamond. So you're going to grab your ball, you're going to find your right sit bone, and you're going to place the ball inside that right sit bone. And so, or the ball or the socks. And so it goes just inside the right sit bone. And then you're going to get comfortable with the legs, so whichever position works for the legs. You can have your hands down on the floor for support. And so I like to bring one leg out to the side and then one leg out in front of me. And then you're just going to close down the eyes, and you're just going to soften onto the ball and just let yourself settle without kind of gripping anywhere in the body. And then just start coming into your lateral breathing. So we're breathing all the way around that cylinder of the ribs. So you can really picture the rib cage, and you're sending the breath around the whole rib cage. And so using this lateral breathing to really release and relax the pelvic floor. And that ball will kind of act like as a kind of a massaging into those tissues, into those muscles. So we're just breathing here, and maybe you want to start thinking about use a visualization. So we can think about this softness that we're breathing in on the inhale, this softness that's permeating the tissues and the muscles and lengthening them. And then on the exhale, we're breathing out calm on that exhale. So we're breathing in softness and exhaling out calm. And just keep going with this breathing. And really try and breathe right into the back of the ribs. And when you breathe into the back of the ribs, notice if you can feel a response of the pelvic floor onto the ball at all. And it doesn't matter if you can't feel that. So just breathing all the way around the ribs, and you can just be letting the exhale out through the nose or through the mouth. Nice. Just keep going with that breathing. And then we're just going to just bring the ball more to the front of the kind of front and centre, so more towards the pubic bone at the front, into the centre a bit more. And just close down the eyes and just breathing here. So our pelvic floor muscles can get tense in different places. So we can have high tone in one area of the pelvic floor and maybe low tone in another area of the pelvic floor. So just noticing if you feel more tenderness or tension in a particular area of the pelvic floor. So maybe that's more on the right side, maybe that's more of the anterior, so the front of the pelvic floor, or maybe it's the posterior, so the back of the pelvic floor towards the tailbone. And just breathing here. Lovely. And then you're going to remove the ball. Okay, so you're going to remove the ball. Just notice how that side feels. Maybe it feels a bit more spacious. Maybe there's no difference between the two sides, but just noticing what's there. And then locate the left sit bone and bring the ball inside that left sit bone. And then I like to allow my right leg to drop out towards the side. You can have your legs a little bit wider so you're really lengthening and opening up through the sit bones. And then you're just closing down the eyes again, and then breathing here. So that lateral breathing, so filling up the rib cage with the breath, but nice and naturally, no forcing of that inhale. And breathing in softness and exhaling calm. Nice. Keep going with that. Lovely. And then we're just going to bring the ball towards the back, the centre, into the centre and then towards the tailbone, but not onto the tailbone, the coccyx. Just towards it. So we're getting more into the posterior pelvic floor. And we're just going to breathe here. So noticing, for me, there's more tenderness towards the back of the pelvic floor muscles. And just keep breathing, thinking about breathing in softness and length and exhaling out calm. Lovely. And let's do 2 more breaths here. Nice. And then removing the ball. Just noticing how the pelvis feels now on the floor. Nice. And then we're going to come into our all fours position, our Gaia position. So hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips, toes are tucked under at the back. And those sit bones are nice and open in this position, so we're getting a bit more length through the pelvic floor. So we're going to do our 3 breaths in our apnea here. So elbows are slightly bent. When you're ready, we're going to inhale into the ribs expand, opening up, and exhaling softly and slowly through the mouth. Inhale into the ribs, filling that cylinder, and exhaling slowly through the mouth. Inhale, fill that cylinder with air. Exhaling slowly through the mouth. Pausing here, soften the belly, and then slowly open the ribs. Holding it here for as long as you can. And then breathing in whenever you're ready. Nice. We're going to come into some rocking. So we're going to push into the hands and the arms to rock back. And then we're going to come forward. So we inhale to rock back and exhale to come forward. So when you're ready, we're going to inhale, rock back. And exhale, come forwards. Inhaling all the way around the ribs to come back. And slowly exhaling through the mouth as you come forwards. Inhale, come back. Exhaling slowly through the mouth. We hold the breath out, pause, slowly open the ribs. And then the option to rock back if you'd like to on that apnea. Feel those sit bones open. And then breathing in when you're ready, coming forwards again. Nice. We're going to drop down to the elbows, Coming into our Sphinx arm position, into Maya, taking the gaze back towards the thighs, nice and strong through the shoulder girdle. And then we're going to inhale all the way around the ribs. And exhaling slowly through the mouth. Inhale, feeling the ribs. And exhaling softly and slowly. Inhale, feel the ribs. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Pausing here, slowly open the ribs. Lovely, holding it here for as long as you can. And then breathing in whenever you're ready. Lovely. We're going to do some rocking in Maya now. So same as in Gaia, we're going to inhale to rock back and exhale slowly through the mouth to come forwards. We inhale, rock back, sit bones widen and release pelvic floor. Exhale slowly through the mouth as you come forwards. Inhaling, rocking back, sit bones widen. Exhaling slowly through the mouth to come forwards. We hold the breath out, pause, and then slowly open the ribs. Option to rock back with that apnea if you'd like to. Feeling those sit bones opening, holding it here, and then breathing in whenever you're ready. Come forwards again. Nice. We're going to come into a child's pose now. So let's just bring the knees nice and wide. Let the sit bones open up. And stretch the arms out in front of you. And just take some nice big lateral breaths all the way around the ribs. But really thinking about breathing into the back of the ribs. And just sensing into what happens to the pelvic floor muscles, that space in between the sit bones, the tailbone and the pubic bone as you breathe. Nice. And then let's come back up into our Gaia position. We're going to come from Gaia into Callisto. So we're going to, on the apnea, we're going to lift the hips up, but we're going to keep the weight of the shoulders over the hands. So we're lifting the hips up, but we're keeping the kind of body forwards rather than a downward dog position where we kind of shift the chest back towards the thighs and lift the hips up even higher. So its weight is forwards. So when you're ready, we're going to inhale into the ribs, ribs expanding, opening up, and exhaling softly and slowly through the mouth. Inhaling, breathing into the ribs, and exhaling slowly through the mouth. Inhale, breathing into the ribs. Exhale slowly through the mouth. You're going to pause here, open the ribs, and then lifting the hips up, keeping the weight kind of more into the hands. You can turn your hands to face forward if it's more comfortable on your wrists. We're holding the apnea at the top, and then breathing in when you're ready. Let's hold this Callisto position, so do turn the hands if you want to. We're going to do our 3 breaths in our apnea here. So taking the gaze back towards the thighs, you're going to inhale into the ribs, ribs expand, and exhaling slowly through the mouth. Inhaling all the way around the ribs, and exhale softly and slowly. Inhale into the ribs. Exhaling slowly through the mouth. Pausing here, slowly open those ribs. Holding it here, push into the fingers if the wrists are hurting, push into the fingers a little bit more, cup the palms of the hands, hold your apnea. And then let's just turn the hands to face forward if you haven't already. And then we'll just walk the feet in towards the hands. Take a forward fold, let the head hang nice and heavy, take hold of the elbows, and we're just going to bob up and down. Nice. Then we're going to inhale at the bottom, drop the hands down, exhale, coming up into standing. Lovely. We're going to come into Artemis. So you're going to hold something in front of you, push a draw shut with your bottom and bring the heels of the hands to the top of the thighs. Balance point is forwards, looking about 1 metre in front of you, so your head and neck is in line with your spine. And then when you're ready, we're going to inhale into the ribs, ribs expand. And exhaling slowly through the mouth. So bring the thumbs in with the fingers if they're round the back. Inhale into the ribs. And exhaling softly and slowly. Inhaling into the ribs, ribs expand. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Pausing here, slowly open the ribs. Lovely, holding it here. And then breathing in whenever you're ready. Nice. We're going to hold that position. We're going to inhale in position. On the exhale, reach the ears away from the shoulders and then draw the chin towards the chest, keeping space for a plum or an egg. Inhale here. On the exhale, we're just curling above the bra strap. We're going to inhale here. On the exhale, hands slide down, belly lifts up and over like a big ball. We're curling through the lumbar area a little bit now. Taking the gaze up towards the belly button, we hold the breath out, pause, slowly open the ribs here. Holding it here for as long as you can. Make sure that the shoulders are away from the ears and the shoulders should be roughly in line with the hips. Nice. Breathing in when you're ready. On the exhale, you're going to reach the hands 2 feet forwards. Look at your thighs. Inhale here. On the exhale, step 1 foot back and then the other foot back. You can keep a bend in the knees. Inhale here. Exhale, slowly through the mouth. Weight is over those hands. We hold the breath out. Pause, slowly open the ribs. And you can start working to get the legs a little bit straighter in this position on this apnea. Lovely. So back into that Callisto position. Hold it here for as long as you can. And then breathing in whenever you're ready. Nice. Hands face forwards, coming into a downward dog. So really bend the knees and lift the hips up as high as you can get them. So getting lots of length through the spine. And then you can, once you've got that length in the spine and the hips are high, keep the hips there and start to straighten out the legs. Lovely. And then walk your hands back towards your feet. Take a couple of breaths here. You're going to inhale at the bottom and then exhale to come back up. Lovely. Nice. We're going to do that sequence again and come down towards the floor. So we're going to come into our Artemis again. So you're going to hold something in front of you, let's say flowers. Push the drawer shut with your bottom, heels of the hands to the top of the thighs. Lovely. Fingers face towards each other. Lengthening through the spine. You've got a slight natural curve in the lumbar. Make sure you haven't flared the ribs. They're stacked over the pelvis. Balance point is forwards. Nice. You're going to inhale into the ribs. Ribs expand. And exhaling slowly through the mouth. Inhale into the ribs. And exhaling softly and slowly. Inhaling into the ribs all the way round. Exhaling slowly through the mouth. Pausing here, slowly open the ribs. Holding it here for as long as you can. Nice. And then breathing in when you're ready. We're going to inhale in position. Exhale, ears away from shoulders, chin comes towards the chest, keeping space for that plum. Inhale here. Exhale, curling above the bra strap. Inhale here. Exhale, lift up and over that ball. Hands slide down just above the knees. We hold the breath out here. Open the ribs.
Lovely. Ears away from the shoulders. Holding your apnea. Breathing in when you're ready. Nice. We're going to take another inhale here. Exhale, reach the hands about 2 feet forwards. Bend in the knees if you need to. Look back at your thighs. Inhale here. On the exhale, we step 1 foot back and then the other foot. Inhaling here. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Pausing here, slowly open your ribs. Lovely. You can start straightening out the legs if you've got the length. Taking the gaze back towards your thighs, breathing in whenever you're ready. Nice. We're going to drop the knees down. Let's just take a child's pose. Reaching the hands out in front of you, head rests on the floor, and we're doing these nice big lateral breaths, really breathing into the back of the ribs. Lovely. Nice. Keep breathing here. And then we're going to come up onto hands and knees again, and we are going to bring the right leg out to the side. And we're going to do some rocking. So we're going to rock forwards and backwards. So we're going to inhale to rock back and exhale to come forwards. Lovely. And then we can start rotating the foot up towards the sky as we inhale and rock back. And then foot comes down on the floor as we exhale and come forwards. So getting some length into the pelvic floor, the inner thighs. Nice. And then coming back to center, draw that leg back in, bring the other one out to the side. And then we're going to inhale to rock back and exhale to come forwards. And then rotating the foot up towards the sky as you rock back and bringing it down on the mat as you come forwards. Nice. Lovely. Bring that knee in. Just set up in your hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips, all fours position. Drop the elbows down. Forearms come out in front of you. And then we're going to bring the hands together in the center. Elbows nudge out towards the side, head lightly rests on the floor, coming into our Isis position. Nice, slight curve in the lumbar spine, nice and strong through the shoulder girdle. If you feel like your shoulder blades are drawing in towards each other, you can modify this by bringing your hands back in line with the elbows and then placing your head onto your hands. So when you're ready, we're going to inhale into the ribs and exhaling slowly through the mouth. Inhale, filling the ribs, and exhaling softly and slowly. Inhale, feel the ribs. Exhale slowly through the mouth. Pausing here, slowly open the ribs. Hold it here for as long as you can. And then breathing in when you're ready. Nice. Now we're going to keep the hips high, stretch the hands out in front of you and rest the forehead on the floor, coming into puppy pose. And just feel those sit bones widen and open. You may want to take the knees a little bit further apart and the feet a little bit further apart. And then just taking 5 nice lateral breaths, really breathing into the back of the ribs. Nice, lovely. And when you've done your 5 breaths, you can come back up to a seated position. And that is our
practice complete.